Does money exist in the Adventure Time universe?
We rescued the slime princess from the ghost ship vortex. Then we slayed that fire dragon.
We rescued Wildberry Princess from the Ice King.
Saved that house.
Thanks, you guys.
No, seriously though, do Finn and Jake even get paid? Because if they don't, there's a whole lot of things that don't make sense to me. But I'm about to figure it out, using some good old psychology and philosophy. When watching Adventure Time, it's easy to believe Ooo doesn't have a functioning economy. However, glimpses of bartering exchanges and even rare mentions of currency suggest that money might exist, but simply isn't central to the world Finn and Jake inhabit. Or is it? Ooo often, but not always, operates on a barter system, an exchange of goods, favours, or magical items. The first example that comes to mind is Choose Goose, or as I like to call him, the Jar Jar Binks of Adventure Time. Anyway, he's a goose, but also a talking merchant who peddles magical wares, often demanding unconventional forms of payment. In Blood Under the Skin, Choose Goose offers Finn armor in exchange for riddles, songs, or promises. Similarly, in The Real You, Finn acquires glasses from Choose Goose, reinforcing the idea that goods in Ooo don't require money, but resourcefulness, wit, or bargaining. But this only scratches the surface. For instance, what about Princess Bubblegum's thriving kingdom? And then there's also the magic. Magical creatures, enchanted food, and abundant nature often eliminate the need for structured trade and cold hard cash. While this isn't explicitly discussed in the show, Oo's abundance mirrors certain post-scarcity philosophical theories, where society no longer needs currency because resources are self-sustaining or endlessly renewable. So is this the answer to the riddle? Is money just not necessary in Ooo? I don't think so. In many ways, on some days, Ooo does mirror utopia, a word first coined by Thomas More in 1516, a heck of a long time ago. Thomas More imagined an ideal society free from corruption, greed, and inequality. But I also think now is a good time to mention what the word actually means when you break it up. The U comes from the Greek eu, meaning not or no, and topia from the Greek topos, meaning place. So yeah, put those two together and utopia actually means no place, because no such place can exist. In Thomas More's utopia, everything looks hunky-dory from the outside, but in order to keep it that hunky-dory, his utopia has a strict hidden authoritarian streak, and also, well, some slaves apparently. But apart from that little horrid tidbit, could there be a link between Moore's flawed utopia and PB's Candy Kingdom? It's strange how Finn and Jake just go about their way and collect treasure and loot like it's worth nothing, mere ornaments in their treehouse. But there are certain episodes where money does make some surprise appearances. Like when Jake's son, Kim Kil Whan, purchases Finn and Jake's iconic tree fort and turns it into a rental property to teach Jake, his dad, responsibility. This moment stands out as a rare depiction of formal property ownership in Ooo, complete with deeds and rent agreements. The transaction is significant because it reflects a more grounded adult view of financial responsibility, contrasting Finn and Jake's carefree adventuring lifestyle. Then there's the King of Ooo, who's a comically exaggerated figure of financial corruption and exploitation. His schemes to gain power and wealth ultimately collapse, demonstrating how greed often leads to downfall. His rise is fueled by manipulation, selling false promises to the citizens of the Candy Kingdom in exchange for personal gain. Philosophically, he reflects ideas in Marxist thought about the corrupting influence of capital and the exploitation of working-class citizens by those in positions of power. But the weirdest part of it all is the Candy Kingdom's hidden economy. At first glance, the Candy Kingdom seems like a cheerful, magical realm where everything functions smoothly under Princess Bubblegum's rule. However, its hidden complexity reveals a highly functioning economy. The Candy Kingdom boasts theatres, bakeries, mechanical transport, and even a space program. These infrastructures suggest a financial backbone that's rarely, if ever, acknowledged. Underneath its surface, the Candy Kingdom represents a microcosm of production and power dynamics. While we don't see money changing hands, its technological development and hierarchy imply the management of resources and labour, which ties directly into Marxist theories of production. Princess Bubblegum, as the ruler, represents the central figure controlling the means of production, whether through scientific advancements or military decisions. In simple terms, the Candy Kingdom can feel like a perfect place, but it also shows the downside of having one person in charge. The kingdom's success relies on Princess Bubblegum, but her control over everything shows how risky it can be when too much power is in one person's hands. And Finn is far too pure to see or make sense of any of this. Finn's childlike perspective hides much of the economy around him. For Finn, life is about adventure, protecting others, and forming meaningful relationships, not making money or worrying about property. He's not interested in who owns what or how resources are managed. We see Ooo through the eyes of Finn, and his focus is on doing what feels right in the moment, not money. As a young adventurer, Finn doesn't notice the things adults would: rent payments, supply chains, or trade agreements. For example, when Kim Kil Whan buys the tree fort, Finn doesn't focus on the financial aspect. He just sees it as a challenge to get his home back. In this way, Finn's perspective filters out much of Oo's hidden economy, making the world feel simpler and more magical. Finn is actually a modern embodiment of Jean-Jacques Rousseau's noble savage, an idea that humans, when living close to nature and free from society's corrupting influences, are more virtuous and pure. Like Rousseau's ideal, Finn doesn't concern himself with wealth or power. Instead, he thrives on instinct, adventure, and his moral compass. His innocence shields him from the complexities of adulthood, making him a character who naturally resists the pull of materialism. But, just as Rousseau warned, this innocence can only last so long. As Finn grows older and faces challenges, like Kim Kil Whan's lesson on responsibility, he begins to see that the world has layers of complexity he once ignored. The hidden economy of Ooo is always there. It's just not visible to Finn until he's ready to face it. But wait, does this mean that Princess Bubblegum never pays Finn and Jake for their multiple dangerous endeavors because she knows that Finn can be exploited? Or does this mean she actually pays them, but because we see the world through Finn's eyes, we just never see that part happen? What do you think? Like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments.